How is my Zoa garden going? Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video by REEFER. Before I get into the 3 lessons that I've learned from my Zoa garden, I just want to give a quick update on my cyanobacteria battle. At this stage, I'm still fighting the cyano with not much changes. The cyano is not getting any better or any worse. It has more or less stabilized in terms of the growth per day, so I'm just sticking to my game plan that I've laid out in my previous video. Okay, now onto the Zoa garden. As mentioned in the previous video, I've created a rock structure for my zoas and I've placed 15 different zoa species on the rockwork to let them grow out. Many of these zoas have been grown from other people's tank and they are all stable pieces when I added them into my tank. So since I started this Zoa garden, there are 3 key lessons that I've learned from it. Number 1. Different species of zoas grow at different rates. So as you can see on the left side of the rock, it is almost fully covered with zoas and the growth has been rather quick with a new head almost every other week. I was not expecting this because it is the area with the highest flow among my zoas, so I expected the growth to be the slowest. There is a general belief that zoas grow better under slightly lower flow, but apparently this does not apply to my zoas here. So I've come to realize that different zoas just grow differently even with similar water conditions. This is not a bad thing because it allows you to plan your zoa garden better in terms of where you want to place each zoa so that they don't crowd each other out. So my recommendation would be place slower growers with slower growing zoas and faster growing zoas, of course, with faster growing zoas. Number 2. Before I go into it, it would be super helpful if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, and it will go a long way to helping me and supporting me. So the second lesson that I have learned is the size of the polyp of the zoas is dependent on the amount of light it receives. So if a zoa is not getting enough light, it begins to stretch to reach out for the light. So usually you will see that the stem of the zoa is much longer. This for me has always been a way in the past to tell if a zoa is getting sufficient light. However, with that being said, I've also observed that when zoas get too much light, their polyps tend to be smaller in size. So of course with different zoas, the polyp size is different, but if you compare the size of what that species of zoa is supposed to be, you'll realize that lowering the lighting will in general increase the size of the polyp. After I moved it down to the bottom of the rockscape, I noticed that the size of the polyps have gotten larger than previously, which makes sense because it allows it to take in more light because of the surface area of the polyp. So if your zoas are really small and melting, it could possibly be due to the amount of light that it receives and not so much of the water parameters. The third thing I've learned about zoas is related to the nutrients in my tank. I've been having low phosphates and low nitrates in the tank since the start, and I've noticed that as the nutrients are slowly being raised by me, different zoas react differently to the rise in the nutrients. There's a common belief that zoas, or rather other softies such as mushrooms, even some acans, they enjoy more dirty water than clean water. And what dirty water means is that they tend to enjoy higher nutrient water. However, that has not been my experience. As I have raised my phosphates and nitrates, my utter chaos and rastas do not look as healthy and as plump as before. On the flip side, my purple monster and bug kisser zoa has coloured up more as the nutrients have been raised. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're trying to cultivate and grow multiple species of zoas, don't focus too much on chasing the numbers of phosphates and nitrates because it is highly dependent on the types of zoas and how stable they are as compared to the phosphates and nitrates. Of course, with that being said, if your nitrates and phosphates are just way above what is the norm, for example, if your phosphates are like a 2.0 ppm, then that might be an issue of why your zoas are not growing well. But if they are within a suitable range, don't focus so much on your nitrates and phosphates, but focus more on your placement of your zoas as well as feeding them. So that are my 3 lessons that I've learned from having a zoa garden. As always, I will continue to keep you guys updated on the status of the tank and how they grow week in and week out. With that, I think I'll come to the end of the video right here. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, love your tank. Till next time, see you guys. Bye bye.